Hello and welcome to Choom's Q&A. I thought I'd do this because for some reason recently I've been getting like a lot of questions, like people want to actually get to know me. So yeah, I'm just gonna answer a few questions and hopefully try and keep it concise. So I already did this once and it's pretty long, so let's do this. Okay, first question. Where do you live? Currently, I'm living in Tokyo. I am from London, but I live in Tokyo. Second question. How did you get to live in Tokyo? Well, basically, I'm on my year abroad as part of my university degree, and it's a requirement of the third year students to spend a year in Japan. So I was lucky enough to spend it in Tokyo because some of my friends are in like Kyoto, Nagoya, Kobe, those sorts of places. So yeah. Can you speak Japanese? Yes, I can. Japanese is my degree. I'm studying it. I've been studying it for 3 years. I didn't do any like prior study. I didn't do a GCSE or A-level in Japanese. I started from scratch at university. I want to live in Japan. How do I get there? Okay, I get this question a lot, like, I want to live in Japan, like, that's great, like, you know, Japan is cool. Well, and I'm currently living in Tokyo, but I've visited Kyoto and that seems pretty chill too. So yeah, Japan, like, go for it if you want to live in Japan. One thing I have to say though is like, what was I going to say? One thing I have to say is that you have to remember that Japan is just a country, okay? It's like, sorry to burst like people's bubbles, like, but it's just a country and it's not like a super magical land where all this crazy stuff happens. Like it's cool, and you know, sometimes crazy stuff does happen. You're like, oh, Sasuga Japan, but I don't know. I get the impression that people think like when they move here it's gonna be what people thought America was like back in the old days, like the land of opportunity and dreams and everything. Like, it's a country with people that speak Japanese. And for how people who want to live in Japan, I often get questions like, how are you here? Well, obviously I'm here on a student visa. So I would recommend looking into visas that you're eligible for. So like if you're studying, get a student visa or a spouse visa, but that's not something to aspire to, just so you can live in Japan. Entertainer's visa, but that's only if you're like Katy Perry, sort of like entertainer level, I think. What's the other one? Working holiday is probably the best one you can go for if you want to stay for longer than 3 months. So that's, I think, for most, well, I think England is, you can stay for a year on a working holiday visa, other places like a year and a half, and there's no requirements really. It's just like if you just want to get away from it. And a working visa. Now in order to work in Japan you have to have your visa sponsored, so that's most likely going to be by a Japanese company, which means that you'd have to have a pretty decent level of written and spoken Japanese, and you know, in order to do that you have to be able, you know, you have to study the language, so you have to go through the process in order to live in Japan. Like, you can't just move, like, you need to get a job. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna live in Japan. What do I do? Let me just move. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, life does not work like that. For any country, I think. I don't know. Whatever. But for Japan, visa is important. Please think about this in a realistic sense. People ask me like, oh, or like, how do I go about, or not how do I go about? I want to study Japanese at university or college if you're American. Like, do you have any tips? I would say, yeah, great. Like, Japanese is a good language to have, especially if you have an interest in it. It's like always best to study something you have an interest in. So yeah, just do it, but make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. So I would strongly suggest you think about like why you want to do Japanese. You can't just do it because you like cosplay or you like J-pop or like J-fashion or whatever. Like, I like these things too, like they're really fun, like pop culture is really fun, but at the same time, you know, a degree is serious, and obviously you have to be serious about it, so you have to think of other things and also about your future, because it will affect your future. So you have to go into it with, you know, a decent mindset. And also the fact that, you know, it's a really hard language to learn, so when you're at university or college or whatever, you have to think like, why am I putting myself through this? Why am I putting myself through this torture to learn this language that I really like, and, you know, like the culture and everything behind it, like the history and everything. You have to think. People, please think. Please. Yeah, just having a passion for cosplay is enough, because like cosplay and everything you see at Comic Cons and anime and manga is like a really, really small part of like a subculture, which is cool like if you go in depth and do like a study about it, if you're thinking degree wise or study wise. But just like jumping in straight to degree level at like, I like cosplay and that's associated with Japan, so that's not the best idea, I don't think. Okay, moving on to stuff that's not study related. Is like, I get a lot of questions about like modelling and Harajuku and blah blah blah, so I'll do that. I'm just looking at my Tumblr because I tried doing an FAQ but no one seems to have read it. How did you become a model? I am not a model, I'm a student. Like, modelling isn't my career, and I think it's hard anyway to make a career out of modelling. It's a very fickle industry, and I don't know, for me it's just a hobby. So all the pictures you see, either my friends take, or yeah, well, usually all the ones from my blog, like my friends take. So like, I think people get the wrong impression of me when they see all these pictures, like, wow, she must be modelling a lot. Like, no, I'm a student. I just do modelling for fun on the side, and like I do get brand work because people find me on Instagram, and I'm going to be doing a show at Bunka Fashion College for their like graduation, and I'm doing some other fashion shows for my friends and stuff. So like, but it's all just good fun to me, so it's not my career. So I don't have any tips on how to become a model. Sorry. Actually no, that's a lie. That's my next question. Tips, like, I get how to become a model in Japan. Like I said before, like, Japan isn't some special magical country where everything's special and different. Like, it's like anything. Well, what I did was I just was like, oh, I'm bored, so I made a profile on Model Mayhem, and I did work with photographers for free, and I just basically just built up a portfolio, and plus it's like, it's just really fun. I just want to be like posing, and so I just built up a portfolio, and from there people started like asking me like to do actual work. So I was like, oh my god, people are actually interested in this, haha. And when I came to Japan, like, I just kept getting more stuff on Instagram, like I kept getting messages on Instagram to ask me to model for brands. So, oh yeah, and like fashion shows and stuff. So if anything, just Model Mayhem, portfolio, Instagram. Instagram is really important. Just Instagram. Yeah, specifically questions like, how do I become a model in Japan? Sorry, I forgot to answer this completely. How do I become a model in Japan? Or like Harajuku or something. Like, Harajuku is just a place. It's not like, how do I say this? It's not like a specific fashion industry. I mean, there are a lot of shops within Harajuku that get photographed like particularly like for Kera and stuff. So I guess that magazine is like really associated with Harajuku fashion. But honestly, I wouldn't even know where to begin to like go into Kera. As far as I know, it's not like a fashion industry. It's just a bunch of shops, and everyone, well, not everyone, like people dress up to go to Harajuku because it's a place to be seen, basically. Like, it's well known for that sort of fashion. So you just have to keep in mind, like, stuff you see on the internet or like Instagram, like just any social media, like you have to keep in perspective. It's not a huge deal. It's only a huge deal to people that have an interest in it. It's not a huge deal to the whole of Japan, basically. So keep like going off topic. What was the question? Oh yeah, how to become a model in Japan. Oh my god, okay, stay on the topic. How to become a model in Japan. Like any other industry, make connections and get noticed and work your butt off. That is it. That is it. That's all I can say on that. How did you become a 6% Doki-Doki shop girl? This again, like nothing special. It was just really, really good timing. So obviously I was shipped off to Japan in September of last year, and immediately I was like, I'm gonna go Harajuku. I need to shop now. I need all the pastel things. So after I went to Harajuku, I went to the Kawaii Monster Cafe. It was just like down the road, and I took some pictures, and then I was like, wow, this place is amazing, I love it. And I put a picture up on Instagram and I hashtagged it Kawaii Monster Cafe, and someone from 6% saw the picture and was like, oh, remember her, she's cool. And in November there was a festival called Moshi Moshi Nippon Festival, and 6% were going to be a part of it as part of Sebastian Masuda's The Show, and they were looking for models for 6%. They were like, oh, remember her, we'd like her to model. So I was like, I got an email and I was like really excited. I was like, 6%, Sebastian Masuda, this is amazing, oh my god, this is so cool. So I did the modelling thing for them, and then literally a few weeks later they messaged me again and asked me to work at the shop. That's it. So Instagram is very important.